My first year in business, I did over $600,000 in sales. In year 2, I did about 1.5 million. And this year, I'm going to do $10 million in sales. Now, to do that, in order to get there, we need to completely reinvent the business. We need to bring on new key people. We need to create new systems, and we need to change things that actually got us from 0 to 1. You see, almost everything we did to get from 0 to 1 is actually everything we can't do to get from 1 to 10. So today I'm going to reveal the principles that I'm using this year to 7x my entire business. And I'll tell you exactly how I'm going to avoid the Shopify curse and all other pitfalls most business owners fall prey to. You may or may not have heard of this term, the Shopify curse, so let me explain. The Shopify curse is when you have a habit of pulling up your Shopify app or whatever app you use to track your business's sales, and you just check it all day, every day, consistently. It does absolutely nothing for you personally, aside from make you upset when your sales aren't where they're supposed to be, but it's also hindering the success, the growth of your business, because you're taking away time from the things that actually matter. Every single time I opened my phone last year, I probably checked Shopify just to see what the sales were at. It's instant gratification, or it's an instant bad mood if sales aren't where you want them to be. Like I said though, this does literally absolutely nothing for your business. It doesn't grow it whatsoever. And the reason I call it the Shopify curse is because it has a much bigger meaning to it. You see, most early entrepreneurs, and like I said, I did this myself up until recently, will focus on the outputs and not the inputs. So that is exactly why the first principle of today's video is focusing on the inputs and not the outputs. You see, focusing on the outputs is only focusing on the results. But the results won't come if you don't put in the work, if you don't do the right things. You'll look at the sales over and over and over, wondering why they're not going up, but you're not even doing anything to make it happen. Let me give you guys an example. Last year, I focused on the outputs. And even though we had a good year, we 2.5x'd our business from the previous year, I didn't get anywhere near as far as I had wanted to go. I was focusing on the things that come as a result from the work you put in. I wasn't focusing enough on the work itself. So this year, in order to get over the Shopify curse, in order to change the results I'm getting, I'm putting all of my energy and most importantly, all of my goals on the inputs. What do I mean by that? Instead of saying, I want to get this many views or followers this year, I'm thinking, how many good quality videos do I need to make this year? Instead of saying, I'm going to do this much in revenue, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to bring on this many new creators. I'm going to bring on this many new athletes. I'm going to create this many new products, and I'm going to pump out this much content, because that's actually what's going to move the needle. That's what's going to bring the sales up. That's what's going to bring the followers and the views, not just looking at the numbers. This year, if you want to double, triple, or 5x your business, you need to focus on the inputs. Principle or lesson number 2, whatever you want to call it, bringing on high-level partners. In the early days of your business, while you're going from 0 to 1 million in sales, you're pretty much doing everything. You're clawing and grasping for any money you can to try and get your business to that $1 million mark. You're doing every job. You're doing the customer service. You're doing the packing. You're doing the managing of your employees, who are probably part-time because you can't even afford to get full-time employees. I mean, I didn't. But in order to get from 1 to 10 million, in order to 5 or 10x your business, you need to bring on high-level talent. Businesses and teams, they're built and run by people. If you don't have good people, you will not have a good business. It's that simple. It doesn't matter what you're in, whether it's fast food or e-com like me or tech and AI. If you don't have the best partners, the best people in your business helping you get to the next level, you just won't get there. You're going to need to get very comfortable with removing yourself from certain parts of the business that you actually should not be doing. And it can be hard at first, especially if you think that you're the best at doing this special thing. I remember in the early days when I used to do all the customer service myself, I was so particular about it. I was so careful. I was so caring talking to the customers. And I was actually really worried that if I removed myself from that, if I just hired some random person, they weren't going to do as good of a job as me. Why? Because they don't care about my business as much as I do. They don't care about my customers as much as I do. Why would they? It's not their business. It's not their customers. They're making an hourly rate. And that can be, once again, very, very difficult to mentally get over, but you need to do it. You need to get over that hump, because that will allow me to move on to more important more useful things. If you want to grow from 1 to 10 million, you're also going to need to bring on leaders within your business. Maybe they're entrepreneurs, maybe they're intrapreneurs. That's a term that a lot of people haven't heard of. An intrapreneur is essentially an entrepreneur within your business. They're not the one that takes all the credit or gets all the heat. There's someone that's maybe a level or two below the CEO, the founder, the leader. You're going to need to find people like this. You're going to need to find people that are going to go above and beyond for you, even if they're not getting paid that much, because it's a startup after all. You don't have that much money to offer. You're going to need to bring on head designers, a CFO, maybe a COO, maybe a head of logistics and supply chain. These are all very, very important positions that you should not be doing yourself. Even if you're the best, you simply don't have the time to be doing all of these things yourself. Last but not least, good advisors and potentially even good investors. It's hard to scale a business successfully, profitably. Sometimes you need to go raise money, borrow money, take out loans. I mean, I've done all of it now. By the time you guys see this video, I'll have probably finished my round, and hopefully we will have raised about $1.5 million to get our company to the next level. And you need to go find good advisors, good mentors as well. Preferably people who have already been in your shoes, people who are in your industry already. If you guys follow my content closely, you've probably heard that I recently brought on the founder of the fastest growing clothing brand of all time into my business. His business did over $200 million in sales last year in their second year of business. So yeah, I gave him 10% because I thought to myself, well, this guy probably has the secrets. This guy has the sauce. I gave him 10% of my company so that I could learn from him. He could tell me what to do. And sometimes that can be difficult when you're a know-it-all like me and you think you know everything. But when someone as successful as that tells you no, you need to listen to them. That's why you brought him on after all. When it comes to getting the best talent on an advisor standpoint or a mentor standpoint, sometimes you need to give away part of the pie. You probably don't have the money to pay them for their time, at least fairly. So you're gonna have to give them something in return. But think about that for a second. Would you give away 10% of your company to some random person who you just met? It honestly wasn't that tough a decision for us to make. Now, I'm not saying you should go do that and just hand away part of your company. And I asked 50 different people maybe, 49 of them said, he's gonna screw you guys over. One person said, I would do this in a second if I was your age. And so we decided to go for it. And guess what? It's been extremely beneficial since. Our business literally just had the best month of all time in February, which is the worst month of the year for sales in a clothing brand. Lesson number 3, raising capital. Before I even go into our decision to do this, I want you to ask yourself, do I want to raise capital or do I need to raise capital? It really depends on how your business is health-wise right now, but also how fast you want to grow. We were doing well, but we wanted to do better. We wanted to grow as fast as possible. I would rather have 20% of $1 billion company than 100% of $100 million company. I want to get to 100 million as fast as possible. And sometimes that means you might need to raise capital. So that's what we did. But a lot of people just assume they need to raise. They don't actually really think about it. A lot of people will come up with a business idea, they'll write out a plan and they'll say, okay, someone give me money. But they haven't actually proven that the business works yet. They haven't even gotten their first sale. This is not the place you want to be in. We ran our business for about 2 years before we decided we wanted to start raising. And we had proven that there is product market fit, that people like our products, that people want to buy our products, and that there's potential in the future for us to grow. But you guys got to remember, capital should be an accelerant, not a necessity. And if capital is a necessity for your business to survive, then you need to take a step back and look at your business model. We could have grown from 1.5 to 10 million, but it probably would have taken at least 2 or 3 years. I want to do it in 1 year. So that's why I'm raising money. That's why I'm willing to give away part of the pie so that I can grow the pie bigger, even faster. But there are plenty of businesses that have never raised and been extremely successful, so you don't need to do it. I mean, MailChimp grew to 12 billion without raising a dollar. Lesson number 4, creating SOPs or standard operating procedures. Why do you need SOPs? The reason you create SOPs in your business is so that when you hire new people, it's very easy for them to hit the ground running. You don't want to have someone come into a role and not know what they're doing, not know how to even succeed in that role. You need to have structure built out within the business so that people can be replaceable. I know that sounds harsh or mean or whatever, but you do not want a business that relies on certain people unless they're C-suite executives. Like, think about it. You can't spend time training every single person in your business if someone leaves and someone new comes in. Instead, you need to create SOPs. And a good procedure to follow is if you have to do the same task 3 different times, you should probably create an SOP for it. Lesson number 5, last but not least, creating and structuring a vision for your company. For example, right, I run an activewear brand. If I told the investors that I'm pitching to that my goal is just to sell 1 million pairs of shorts, that's not very exciting. That's not something they want to get behind. That's not a story they want to hear. They want you to paint a vision for them. Because what happens after I hit 1 million shorts? What do? I just raise the goal. I want to sell 2 million pairs of shorts now. No, that's not a plan that people want to hear. A good mission statement, our mission statement, is not about clothing. It's about supporting real body positivity, creating a culture of people wanting to get better, healthier, make their lives better. Clothing, the products, are just the vehicle to get there. It's like a cell phone company, right? Their mission isn't to create phones. Their mission is to connect people, to increase communication, to make people's lives better. Because here's the key, an actual vision does not really have an end goal. It's something that can always get better. For example, creating a culture of real body positivity, creating a vision that people can buy into, a community of go-getters, it can always get better. If you want to bring on and recruit the best talent, people that actually could be making huge salaries, people that could be going and starting their own companies even, you're going to need such a good vision that they are willing to get rid of both of those options to come help you build your dream. You need to hire for something bigger than money. When I bring on new athletes and creators who are essentially like the sales force of our business, I need to sell them on this vision. Because more often than not, these guys will usually pump out content for us for weeks, sometimes even a few months before they make $1. Our content system, our marketing playbook is built off of these creators. If they don't make money, we're not making money. And if we don't make money, they're not making money. And I explain that to them in detail. And so I individually train each of these guys how to make good content, but sometimes it takes a while. And sometimes these guys aren't willing to put in the time. But the ones who are willing to put in the time, the ones who practice and get better and are consistent, they end up making a lot of money. A lot more than what they would have made at any other brand. Like I said, that takes time. So I need to sell them on this vision. Let's talk about Amazon. Amazon's mission is to be Earth's most customer-centric company. When Jeff Bezos gets interviewed, oh, what do you think about these numbers? And what do you think about these sales? And what do you think about these profits? He doesn't even really give a fuck. He just says, how can we make the customer experience better? And I know people talk shit about Jeff Bezos and the factory workers and the wages and all that. But the truth is he has created one of the best, if not the best, online marketplace of all time. Amazon has genuinely changed the world. And that's why he's rich as fuck. And he's also made a lot of other people rich as fuck. For example, early on, Amazon allowed customers to post extremely negative reviews, which you might think, oh, that's bad. I don't want people seeing that. But how are you supposed to find out what the customer thinks if you don't allow them to post an honest review? So even though it might have been negative in the short term for sales, it was better in the long run for the success of the company because it enabled them to make the customer experience top tier. With a clearly defined purpose, vision, and mission statement, your company can thrive, but you need to bring on the right people, you need to do the right things, and most importantly, you need to follow Lucas Pachter.